When billionaire Elon Musk discovered his regular driver was secretly living in his car, he could have simply written a check. Instead, he saw something others had missed: extraordinary potential hidden beneath difficult circumstances. What happened next wasn't just a handout, but a journey that would transform both their lives and create ripples of change far beyond what either could imagine. Rain pounded on the roof of the sleek Tesla as it pulled up to the tall glass building. Elon Musk stepped out, his mind still racing with ideas from his late-night meeting. The clock on his phone read 11:48 p.m. "Thanks, Darius. Same time tomorrow?" Elon asked, noticing the dark circles under his driver's eyes. "Yes, sir, Mr. Musk. I'll be here at 7 a.m. sharp," Darius Wells replied with a tired smile. Elon paused before closing the car door. This was the third day Darius had worn the same blue button-up shirt. Not that Elon usually noticed such things, but something seemed off. "Everything okay?" Elon asked. Darius straightened up. "Yes, sir, just a long week." Elon nodded and walked toward the building behind him. The black Tesla waited until he was safely inside before pulling away into the rainy night. 2 nights later, Elon had to stay even later at the office. When he called for his car at 1:30 a.m., Darius arrived within minutes, looking more tired than ever. "Sorry to keep you waiting so late," Elon said, sliding into the back seat. "It's no problem, sir." "Where to?" Elon hesitated. "Actually, can you take me to the Southside factory? I just remembered something I need to check." "Of course, Mr. Musk." The drive was quiet. Elon noticed Darius stifling yawns and occasionally shaking his head to stay alert. "How long have you been working today?" Elon asked. "Since 5 a.m., sir." "That's nearly 21 hours. Don't you have time to rest between shifts?" Darius's eyes met Elon's in the rearview mirror. "I make it work, sir." When they reached the factory, Elon pretended to check his phone. "I just got a message. We don't need to stop here after all. Can you take me home now?" "Yes, sir." As they drove back across the city, Elon pulled up his email on his phone but kept watching Darius. The man was good at his job, always on time, professional, and knew the best routes through traffic. Elon had requested him specifically for the past 8 months. "You know what? I'm hungry," Elon said suddenly. "There's a 24-hour diner on West Lake. Do you mind stopping there?" "Not at all, sir." At the diner, Elon insisted Darius join him. "It's nearly 2 a.m. and you've been driving all day. You must be hungry too." Darius hesitated but couldn't refuse his boss. Inside, they sat at a small booth. Elon ordered coffee and a sandwich, while Darius just ordered coffee. "You're not eating?" Elon asked. "I'm not very hungry, sir." Elon studied him. "Please call me Elon when we're not working, and at least get some toast or something. My treat." Darius ordered the cheapest item on the menu, plain toast. When it arrived, Elon noticed how carefully Darius wrapped half of it in a napkin and slipped it into his pocket when he thought Elon wasn't looking. After they finished, Elon said, "I'm actually pretty tired. I think I'll get a ride home from here. You should go home and rest." "Are you sure, sir? I mean, Elon, it's no trouble to drive you." "I'm sure. Get some sleep, Darius." After paying, Elon walked outside and called another car service. He waited until Darius drove away, then canceled the car and called his assistant. "I need you to track a vehicle for me," he said quietly. 20 minutes later, Elon's private car pulled into an empty grocery store parking lot on the edge of the city. He spotted Darius's car parked in the far corner, away from the streetlights. "Wait here," Elon told his driver. He walked across the wet pavement, the rain having finally stopped. As he got closer, he could see that the front seats of Darius's car were reclined all the way back. The windows were cracked open slightly, despite the cold night air. Elon approached carefully and peered inside. Darius was fast asleep, covered by a thin blanket in the back seat. Elon could make out a small suitcase, some neatly folded clothes, and a plastic container of toiletries. Stepping back, Elon felt a wave of emotion wash over him. His driver was homeless. Darius Wells, the man who had safely driven him to countless meetings, who was always professional and punctual, was living in his car. Elon walked back to his waiting car, deep in thought. Instead of knocking on the window and confronting Darius, he decided to wait. There had to be a better way to help without embarrassing a man who clearly had his pride. The next morning, Elon casually asked his assistant to find out more about Darius. "He's been with the driving service for almost a year," she reported back. "Perfect record. Before that, he worked as a KN security guard. And before that, he was studying engineering at community college, but dropped out 3 years ago. Find out why he dropped out, Elon said. 2 days later, his assistant came to his office with a folder. His mother got sick. Cancer. He was her only family, so he quit school to care for her and pay the medical bills. She passed away last year, but by then, he'd already sold most of his possessions and lost his apartment. Elon nodded slowly. And now he works for our driving service during the day and delivers food at night. Despite working 2 jobs, he hasn't been able to save enough for a deposit on a new apartment. The medical debt ate everything. Elon sat back in his chair looking out at the city skyline. He thought of the toast Darius had carefully saved, the long hours he worked without complaint, and the way he maintained his dignity despite his circumstances. "Don't tell anyone about this," Elon said finally. "And don't change anything about his schedule with me." "What are you planning to do?" his assistant asked. Elon turned from the window, a determined look in his eyes. "I'm not sure yet, but I'm going to do something he'll never expect." Darius Wells woke up as the first rays of sunlight hit his face through the car window. He blinked several times, his back stiff from another night of sleeping in the reclined driver's seat. It wasn't ideal, but it was better than a shelter. Here, at least, he had privacy and dignity. He checked his watch. 4:45 a.m. Perfect timing. He had enough time to drive to the gym, take a shower, change clothes, and get to Mr. Musk's place by 7 a.m. The gym membership cost him $30 a month, money he couldn't really spare, but it gave him a place to shower and use the bathroom. Some mornings when no one was looking, he would even shave at the sink. As Darius brushed his teeth in the gym bathroom, he looked at himself in the mirror. At 32, his face showed the strain of the past few years, but his eyes still held determination. He wasn't going to be homeless forever. This was just temporary, a bump in the road. "Just need to save up 3 more months," he whispered to himself. "Then I'll have enough for first and last month's rent on a small place." His mind drifted back to a time when life had seemed so much simpler. Growing up in a small apartment with his mother, Rita. They hadn't had much, but they had each other. Rita had worked double shifts as a nurse to send Darius to a good school. "Education is the one thing nobody can take from you," she always said. Darius had been halfway through his electrical engineering degree when Rita was diagnosed with aggressive pancreatic cancer. The choice had been simple. School could wait, but his mother couldn't. For 18 months, he had taken care of her, working nights as a security guard while spending days at home or at the hospital with her. The medical bills piled up despite her insurance. When Rita passed away, Darius was left with grief, debt, and an unfinished degree. At 6:45 a.m., Darius pulled up in front of Elon Musk's building. He was always early, always professional. Mr. Musk came down at exactly 7:02 a.m., as he did every morning. "Good morning, sir," Darius said, holding the door open. "Morning, Darius," Elon replied, studying him briefly. "Did you get some rest the last 2 nights?" "Yes, sir. Thank you for asking." As they drove to Tesla headquarters, Elon scrolled through emails on his phone but occasionally glanced up at Darius. Normally, they didn't talk much during the morning drive, but today Elon seemed different. "So Darius, how long have you been driving now?" "Almost 8 years total, sir. I've been with the service that assigned me to you for about a year. Before that," Darius hesitated, "different jobs, security mostly." "I heard you studied engineering at some point," Elon said. Darius's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "Yes, sir. A while back. I didn't finish." "What type of engineering?" "Electrical, with a focus on power systems." Elon nodded, turning back to his phone. Interesting field. After dropping Elon off, Darius had 3 hours before he needed to pick him up for a lunch meeting. He used the time to drive to the library, where he could use the free computers and Wi-Fi. He was taking online courses, trying to learn coding in his spare time. Maybe with those skills, he could get a better paying job. Between driving for Mr. Musk and making food deliveries at night, Darius managed to save about $400 a month. It wasn't much, but in 3 more months, he would have enough for an apartment deposit. Until then, his car would continue to be his home. Darius never complained about his situation, not to his few friends who thought he was staying with a cousin, and certainly not to his employers. He did his work well, saved his money, and kept his head down. Every night before falling asleep in his car, he would read engineering articles on his phone, keeping his mind sharp. Later that day, as Darius drove Elon to a meeting, he noticed his passenger watching him in the rearview mirror. "You know," Elon said suddenly, "I was thinking about an engineering problem this morning. Maybe you can give me your perspective since you studied this stuff." Darius was surprised but tried not to show it. "I'll try, sir, but I never finished my degree. We're trying to reduce the battery degradation in our next model. The current lithium-ion setup loses about 2% capacity per year. Any thoughts on how to address that?" Darius thought for a moment. This was actual engineering talk, not just small talk. Why was Elon Musk, who had the world's best engineers at his disposal, asking him? "Well," Darius began cautiously, "from what I've read, the main issues are charging cycles and temperature regulation. If you could develop a more sophisticated cooling system and optimize the charging algorithm to reduce stress on the cells, you might extend the life significantly." Elon nodded, looking genuinely interested. "Go on." "There was a paper I read recently about silicon graphene composite anodes that showed promise for reducing degradation. They were getting less than 1% loss per year in lab conditions." "You keep up with the research?" Elon observed. It wasn't a question. Darius felt his face warm. "I try to. Engineering is still important to me." When they arrived at the meeting location, Elon paused before getting out of the car. "Good talk, Darius. I appreciate your insights." That night, after his food delivery shift ended at midnight, Darius parked in his usual spot at the edge of the grocery store lot. He ate his dinner, half a sandwich he had bought on sale, and settled in for the night. As he was about to turn off his phone to save battery, he saw a new email from an address he didn't recognize. The subject line read, "Engineering articles you might find interesting." Curious, Darius opened it. Inside were links to 5 recent research papers on battery technology, including the silicon graphene study he had mentioned to Elon. The email was signed simply, Itch, a fellow engineering enthusiast. Darius stared at the screen, puzzled, then a small smile crossed his face. He pulled his thin blanket up to his chin as the temperature dropped outside. For the first time in months, he fell asleep thinking about possibilities instead of problems. In his office across town, Elon Musk was still working late. On one screen was a document titled Project Restart, Identifying Hidden Talent. On another was Darius's driving schedule for the next day. Elon made a few notes, then closed the file with a satisfied nod. "Phase 1, he murmured to himself. Over the next week, Elon began to pay closer attention to Darius, not in an obvious way. He still worked on his phone or laptop during most drives, but he listened more carefully to the few words they exchanged. "Have you lived in the city long?" Elon asked one morning, seemingly focused on his email. "About 15 years, Darius replied. "Moved here for college and stayed, family nearby." A brief pause. "No, sir, it's just me now." Elon noted how Darius always kept conversations brief but polite. He never complained about traffic or other drivers. He was always exactly on time. Most importantly, despite his situation, he maintained a quiet dignity that Elon found himself respecting more each day. During one drive to the airport when a sports car cut them off, Elon observed Darius's quick reflexes and calm response. "Nice save," Elon commented. "Thank you, sir. That's actually why I got into engineering initially. I was interested in vehicle safety systems, how to make split-second decisions automatic, really." "Tell me more," Elon said, putting down his phone. For the next 10 minutes, Darius talked about his ideas for improved collision avoidance technology. His eyes lit up as he described sensors that could predict driver behavior on the road. Elon asked a few questions, genuinely impressed by Darius's knowledge and creative thinking. Then, seeming to remember himself, Darius stopped abruptly. "Sorry, sir. I didn't mean to talk your ear off." "No need to apologize," Elon replied. "It was fascinating. You know, those ideas could have real applications in our self-driving systems." That evening, alone in his office, Elon pulled up a series of news articles about the growing homelessness crisis. One headline caught his eye: "Working Homeless, the Invisible Crisis." The article profiled people who held jobs but couldn't afford housing. Some lived in their cars, others in shelters, all while working full-time. The causes varied: medical debt, job loss followed by lower-paying work, divorce, mental health issues. but the outcome was the same. People who contributed to society but couldn't afford a basic necessity: a home. Elon scrolled through the statistics, his brow furrowing. This wasn't just about Darius anymore. This was a systemic problem affecting thousands of people, many of whom had valuable skills and knowledge. M. Chen, Elon called to his assistant, can you get me more information about Darius Wells, his employment record, education background, whatever you can find without being intrusive? The next morning, a folder was waiting on Elon's desk. He opened it to find a neatly organized summary of Darius's life. Born in a small town, he moved to the city for college on a partial scholarship. He completed 3 years of an electrical engineering degree with a 3.8 GPA before withdrawing. He worked as a hospital orderly while caring for his mother, then as a night security guard, and finally as a driver. He had an excellent work record everywhere. No criminal history, no credit card debt, but significant medical debt from his mother's cancer treatment. Perfect driving record, Elon murmured, reading further. Customer satisfaction rating of 4.9 out of 5 stars. He closed the folder and leaned back in his chair, thinking. Darius wasn't just surviving, he was excelling at his job despite incredibly difficult circumstances. What could someone with that kind of determination achieve if given the right opportunity? Later that day, as Darius drove him to a battery factory tour, Elon decided to test a theory. Darius, what do you think about our current solar panel efficiency? Do you think we can improve it significantly in the next few years? Without hesitation, Darius replied, the perovskite overlay research looks promising, sir. It could potentially boost efficiency by 20 to 30% if the stability issues can be solved. Elon raised his eyebrows, genuinely surprised. You follow our solar research too? I try to keep up with renewable energy developments. It's a hobby, I guess. Elon nodded, making a mental note. Darius wasn't just knowledgeable about batteries and vehicle safety, he was staying current across multiple engineering fields while living in his car and working 2 jobs. That night, after sending Darius another anonymous email with engineering articles, Elon called a meeting with his HR director and chief engineer. I want to create a new talent identification program, he explained. There are people out there with extraordinary abilities who haven't had the right opportunities. I want to find them and bring them into our team. What kind of program did you have in mind? The HR director asked. Something that looks beyond traditional credentials. I'm thinking we start small, maybe a pilot program with 5 to 10 people. The chief engineer looked skeptical. Where would we find these people? Elon smiled slightly. They're all around us, sometimes driving our cars, delivering our food, working jobs that don't use their full potential. Over the next 2 days, Elon had his team develop the framework for a program that would identify, train, and employ people with untapped engineering talent. He called it Project Restart, and while he didn't mention Darius by name, the driver was never far from his thoughts as they worked out the details. On Friday afternoon, as Darius drove him home, Elon made his decision. Darius, are you available to drive me to a special meeting on Monday morning? It's important, but it might run long. I'd need you from 9 a.m. until possibly 2 or 3 p.m. Of course, Mr. Musk. I'll arrange my schedule. Good, Elon said, looking out the window so Darius wouldn't see his smile. I think it's going to be an interesting day. After Darius dropped him off, Elon sent a quick text to his assistant. Schedule the battery efficiency brainstorming session for Monday at 10 a.m. and add one more attendee to the list. First name, Darius, last name, Wells. His phone buzzed with a reply. The driver, are you sure? Elon typed back, absolutely. Phase 2 begins Monday. Monday morning arrived with a light drizzle. Darius parked near a coffee shop at 6:30 a.m. to use their bathroom and buy the cheapest cup of coffee they offered. He needed to look alert for this special meeting Mr. Musk had mentioned. After washing his face and smoothing his hair, Darius checked his appearance in the mirror. His blue button-up shirt was clean, though slightly worn at the collar. His black pants had been carefully pressed using the gym's hand dryer. He looked presentable enough to drive an important businessman to an important meeting. At precisely 8:45 a.m., Darius pulled up in front of Elon's building. As usual, Elon emerged right on time, carrying his laptop bag. Good morning, Darius, Elon said, settling into the back seat. Did you have a good weekend? Yes, sir. Thank you. Where are we headed today? Tesla headquarters, the main conference room. As they drove, Elon was quieter than usual, occasionally glancing at Darius with an unreadable expression. When they arrived, Elon surprised him. "Park the car and come with me," he said. Darius blinked. "Sir, I'd like you to join this meeting. I think you might offer a valuable perspective." Confused but intrigued, Darius followed Elon into the building. Employees nodded respectfully as they passed, many looking curiously at Darius walking alongside the famous CEO. They entered a large conference room where 8 people already sat around a table covered with laptops and coffee cups. Everyone looked up as Elon entered. "Good morning, everyone," Elon said. "Before we start, I'd like to introduce Darius Wells." The others nodded politely, though their expressions showed confusion. A woman in a gray suit whispered something to the man beside her. "Take a seat, Darius," Elon said, gesturing to an empty chair. Darius sat down, feeling completely out of place. What was he doing here? He was just a driver. These people were engineers, executives, important people. "Let's get started," Elon announced. "As you know, we're having issues with the battery efficiency in the new model. Dr. Chen, can you bring us up to speed?" A woman with glasses stood up and began presenting slides showing complex diagrams and data charts. Darius listened carefully, surprised to find that he understood most of it. The problem involved battery degradation over time, exactly what Elon had asked him about in the car last week. After Dr. Chen finished, a debate broke out among the engineers about possible solutions. Most favored a conservative approach that would improve efficiency by 5 to 7%. Elon listened quietly, then suddenly turned to Darius. "What do you think, Darius? Any insights?" The room fell silent. Everyone turned to look at him. Darius felt his heart pounding. Why was Elon putting him on the spot like this? But then he thought about the research papers he'd been reading, the ones sent by his anonymous engineering enthusiast, and realized he actually did have something to contribute. "Well," he began hesitantly, "what about trying a dual-layer approach? The silicon graphene composite for the anode, as mentioned earlier, but combined with a modified electrolyte formula to reduce decomposition at high voltages." The room remained silent. Dr. Chen tilted her head, looking at Darius with new interest. Gaining confidence, Darius continued, "There was a paper published last month that showed promising results with this combination. It achieved nearly 15% improvement in long-term efficiency with minimal additional production costs." "Which paper was that?" asked a man with a beard. "It was in the Journal of Power Sources by Zhang and Miller, I believe." Dr. Chen quickly typed something on her laptop. "He's right," she said. "Here it is." She turned her screen so others could see. "This is actually quite promising." For the next hour, Darius found himself pulled into the discussion. At first, the engineers asked simple questions as if testing him, but when they realized he genuinely understood the subject, they began treating him like one of the team. Darius noticed Elon watching him with a small smile. By the end of the meeting, the team had developed a new approach that incorporated Darius's suggestion, potentially saving millions in production costs while improving battery life. As people filed out, several engineers shook Darius's hand, asking where he had studied. He answered truthfully but vaguely, uncomfortable with the attention. Finally, only Elon and Darius remained in the room. "That went well," Elon said, gathering his papers. "Sir, I don't understand," Darius said. "Why did you bring me to this meeting?" Elon looked at him directly. "Because I suspected you had valuable insights to offer, and I was right. But I'm just your driver." "Are you, though?" Elon asked. "Or are you an engineer who happens to be driving at the moment?" Darius was silent, unsure how to respond. "Why didn't you tell me about your engineering background?" Elon asked. Darius looked down at his hands. "It didn't seem relevant to driving you around, and it's hard to talk about dreams you had to give up." Elon nodded slowly. "I understand, but what if you didn't have to give them up permanently?" Before Darius could ask what he meant, Elon's phone buzzed. "I have another meeting. Can you pick me up here at 5 p.m.? "Of course, sir." As Darius drove away from Tesla headquarters, his mind was spinning. For 2 hours, he had been treated like an equal by some of the brightest engineers in the industry. They had listened to his ideas, respected his input. For those 2 hours, he hadn't been a homeless driver, he had been an engineer again. He pulled into a gas station and just sat there, hands gripping the steering wheel. A mix of emotions washed over him: pride, confusion, hope, and a small flicker of something he hadn't felt in years: possibility. Meanwhile, Elon was showing Dr. Chen a file on his computer. "This is him?" she asked, looking at Darius's old student record. 3 years of engineering completed with nearly perfect grades before he had to withdraw. "Yes," Elon confirmed. "What do you think?" "I think he has an extraordinary mind. That meeting was unexpected. He kept up with our senior engineers." "Exactly," Elon said, closing the file. "And now it's time for phase 3. "What's phase 3? Dr. Chen asked curiously. Elon smiled. The proposition. Darius spent the afternoon in a daze, parked at the library. He kept replaying the morning's events in his mind. Why had Mr. Musk brought him to that meeting? Was it just curiosity or some kind of test? Whatever the reason, for those few hours, Darius had felt like himself again, the self he thought he'd left behind years ago. At 4:45 p.m., he arrived at Tesla headquarters to pick up Elon. Instead of coming down to the car, Elon sent a message asking Darius to meet him in his office. Feeling nervous, Darius took the elevator to the top floor. Elon's assistant led him into a spacious office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. "Darius, come in," Elon said, standing up from his desk. "I was just about to head out, but I'd like to stop somewhere on the way. There's a small cafe about 10 minutes from here. Do you know Miguel's?" "Yes, sir. On 3rd Street. "That's the one. Let's go there." The drive was quiet. Darius could feel Elon watching him, but he kept his eyes on the road. Something big was happening, but he couldn't figure out what. Miguel's was a cozy cafe tucked between 2 larger buildings. Inside, Elon chose a table in the back corner, away from other customers. "Order whatever you like," Elon said. "I recommend the chicken sandwich." Darius ordered just coffee, his stomach too knotted with anxiety to eat. After their drinks arrived, Elon leaned forward. "Darius, I know about your situation." Darius froze, cup halfway to his lips. "Sir?" "I know you're living in your car. I know about your mother's medical debt. I know you dropped out of engineering school to take care of her." The color drained from Darius's face. Shame washed over him like a cold wave. His biggest fear that someone would discover his secret had come true. And not just anyone, but Elon Musk himself. "I'm sorry, Mr. Musk," Darius said, putting down his cup with a slightly shaking hand. "I never meant to mislead anyone. I understand if you want a different driver." "That's not why I brought you here," Elon replied calmly. "I brought you here because I was impressed by what I saw today, and every day for the past 8 months, for that matter." Darius looked up, confused. "You're living in your car, working 2 jobs, and still finding time to read engineering journals and keep your skills sharp. That shows an extraordinary level of dedication and intelligence." "Thank you, sir." "But I have a proposition for you, Darius," Elon interrupted. "I want to offer you a job at Tesla, not as a driver, but as a junior engineer on our battery development team." Darius stared at him, speechless. "The position comes with a starting salary that should be enough for you to secure housing. I'm also prepared to offer an advance on your first 3 months' salary to help you get settled." Still, Darius couldn't find words. This couldn't be real. Things like this didn't happen in real life. "Sir, I don't know what to say," he finally managed. "This is incredibly generous, but I never finished my degree. There must be hundreds of qualified engineers who would want this position." "I don't need another engineer with a framed degree on their wall," Elon said. "I need people who can solve problems and think creatively. You've proven you can do both." A mix of emotions crossed Darius's face: hope, disbelief, and something else: pride. "But why?" Darius asked. "Why would you do this for me?" "Because talent shouldn't be wasted," Elon replied simply, "and because I believe you'll be an asset to the company. This isn't charity, Darius. It's an investment in someone I think will make valuable contributions to our work." Darius took a deep breath. "I don't know how to thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Musk. I would be honored to accept the engineering position." Elon smiled, but Darius wasn't finished. However, he continued, surprising himself with his own courage. "I can't accept the advance on the salary." "Why not?" "Because I want to earn my way out of my situation," Darius said firmly. "I'll take the job, sir, but I need to feel like I've worked for everything I get." Elon studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "I respect that, but there's something you should know about working at Tesla." "What's that?" "We don't just reward effort, we reward results." Elon reached into his bag and pulled out a folder, sliding it across the table. "This is a technical problem our team has been working on for months. If you can solve it, or even make meaningful progress by next Monday, you'll earn not just a job, but a full compensation package, including a housing stipend. That's standard for new engineers who relocate." Darius opened the folder and scanned the contents. It was complex, but not impossible. "1 week," Elon said, "show me what you can do." As they left the cafe, Darius felt lightheaded. In the span of a day, his life had completely changed course. He had an opportunity, a real chance to reclaim his dream. That night, for the first time in months, Darius didn't mind sleeping in his car. He stayed up late reading through the folder, making notes on the back of old receipts. Tomorrow, he would go to the library and begin working on the solution. As he finally drifted off to sleep, one thought kept running through his mind. 1 week to change my life. Morning came too quickly. Darius woke at 5 a.m., his back stiff from another night in the reclined driver's seat, but his mind was racing with ideas. The technical problem Elon had given him involved improving the cooling system for the battery packs to prevent overheating during rapid charging. For the next week, Darius would still need to work as Elon's driver. He couldn't afford to quit until he had a steady paycheck, but every free moment would be dedicated to solving this challenge. After a quick shower at the gym, Darius drove to the public library, which opened at 6 a.m. He claimed a quiet corner table and spread out his notes from the night before. The library computers were old and slow, but they had internet access, which was all he needed. 2 hours later, he left to pick up Elon for his morning meetings. "Good morning, Darius," Elon said, sliding into the back seat. "Sleep well?" "Yes, sir," Darius lied, not wanting to admit he'd stayed up past midnight working on the problem. "Any thoughts on our little challenge?" "I've started mapping out an approach," Darius replied carefully. "I think there's a solution that might work." Elon nodded, seeming pleased. "Good. Remember, you have until Monday." Throughout the day, as he drove Elon between meetings, Darius's mind kept drifting back to the problem. During a 2-hour stretch when Elon was in a conference, Darius sat in the car with a notebook, sketching out cooling channel designs. That evening, after dropping Elon off, Darius headed to his food delivery job. For 5 hours, he drove around the city, dropping off meals to hungry customers. Some were polite, others barely acknowledged him. One woman complained that her food was cold, even though Darius had rushed it to her in less than 15 minutes. By midnight, Darius was exhausted, but instead of going to his usual parking spot to sleep, he drove to a 24-hour diner, ordering the cheapest coffee on the menu. He spread his notes on the table and continued working. "Refill, Han?" asked a waitress named Ruby around 2 a.m. "No, thank you," Darius replied. 1 cup was all he could afford. Ruby glanced at his papers, covered with diagrams and calculations. "You a student?" Darius hesitated. "Sort of. Working on a project." She nodded and moved on to other customers. An hour later, as Darius packed up to leave, Ruby slipped him a to-go cup of fresh coffee on the house. "Good luck with your project," she whispered. The small kindness nearly brought tears to his tired eyes. The next few days fell into a grueling pattern. Darius would wake early, shower at the gym, study at the library, drive Elon during the day, deliver food in the evening, and work on the problem late into the night. He was getting by on 3 to 4 hours of sleep, but the lack of rest didn't dim his determination. On Thursday, something unexpected happened. When Darius arrived at Tesla headquarters to pick up Elon for an afternoon appointment, the security guard handed him a badge. "Mr. Musk said to give you this," the guard said. "It gives you access to the engineering floor after hours." Confused, Darius took the badge. Later, when Elon got into the car, he explained, "All drivers have access to company facilities for when they need to wait for executives. Feel free to use the break room, the computers, whatever you need." Darius realized what Elon was really offering: access to better resources for working on the challenge. That night, instead of the diner or his car, Darius used his badge to enter the Tesla building. The engineering floor was mostly empty. with just a few late-working employees who barely glanced at him. Finding an empty workstation, Darius logged in with the guest credentials shown on a small sign nearby. The computer was far more powerful than anything at the library, with specialized engineering software already installed. For 4 hours, Darius worked without interruption. The ideas that had been forming in his mind all week began to take solid shape on the screen. A new cooling system design emerged, one that used a liquid metal compound to transfer heat more efficiently than the current method. When a cleaning person came by around midnight, Darius realized he should leave, saving his work to a USB drive Elon had included in the challenge folder. He headed back to his car to get a few hours of sleep. Friday followed the same pattern, but Darius was running on pure determination now. The lack of proper rest and food was taking its toll. During one drive, he nearly missed a turn, earning a curious look from Elon. "You seem tired today," Elon observed. "Just focused, sir," Darius replied, straightening in his seat. That night, back at the Tesla workstation, Darius had a breakthrough. The simulation he'd been running showed a 22% improvement in cooling efficiency with his design. It wasn't perfect, but it was significant progress. As Saturday morning dawned, Darius realized he'd fallen asleep at the workstation. He quickly gathered his things and left before the weekend security shift could question him. All weekend, Darius worked between food deliveries, refining his solution. By Sunday night, he had a comprehensive proposal with designs, mathematical models, and cost estimates. His hands shook slightly as he saved the final version to the USB drive. Either this would change his life, or he'd go back to being just a driver. Monday morning, Darius arrived at Elon's building looking neat but exhausted. There were dark circles under his eyes, and he'd lost weight over the past week. Elon got into the car holding a coffee cup. Without a word, he handed it to Darius. "Thank you, sir," Darius said, surprised. "You look like you need it more than I do," Elon replied. "Hard week?" Darius nodded. "But productive." "I'm glad to hear that. Hey, we're going to make a stop before heading to the office today." "Where to, sir?" "The engineering building. I believe you have something to present to me and Dr. Chen." Darius's heart began to race. This was it. The moment of truth. Darius followed Elon into a small conference room where Dr. Chen was already waiting. She smiled warmly at Darius, which helped calm his nerves a little. "Good morning," she said. "I've been looking forward to seeing what you've come up with." Elon gestured to the computer in the room. "Whenever you're ready." Taking a deep breath, Darius plugged in his USB drive and opened his presentation. His hands trembled slightly as he clicked to the first slide, but his voice was steady when he began to speak. "The main issue with the current cooling system is that it can't handle the heat generated during rapid charging," Darius explained. "My approach focuses on 3 key improvements." As he walked through his solution, Darius felt his confidence growing. This was familiar territory. This was what he was meant to do. The weeks of sleeping in his car, the exhaustion, the uncertainty, all of it faded away as he explained his design for a new cooling system using a liquid metal alloy as the heat transfer medium. The simulation shows a 22% improvement in overall cooling efficiency, Darius said, showing the results. And based on my cost analysis, it would add less than $80 to the production cost per vehicle. When he finished, there was silence. Elon and Dr. Chen exchanged glances. "What about the expansion issue?" Dr. Chen asked. "Liquid metals tend to expand when heated." Darius nodded, prepared for this question. "That's addressed in the flexible chamber design on slide 12. It allows for expansion without creating pressure points." Dr. Chen looked impressed. "You've thought this through." Elon leaned forward. "And the corrosion concern?" "The alloy is contained in a carbon fiber mesh sleeve that prevents direct contact with other components," Darius explained. "It would need real-world testing, but the simulation suggests it should last for the lifetime of the battery." More questions followed, some simple, others complex. Darius answered each one, occasionally admitting when he wasn't certain, but offering possible approaches to find solutions. Finally, Elon sat back. "This is good work, Darius. Very, very good work." "Thank you, sir. There are some implementation challenges. But the core concept is sound," Dr. Chen added. "With some refinement, this could significantly improve our rapid charging capabilities." Elon turned to Dr. Chen. "What's your assessment?" She didn't hesitate. "I'd hire him." Relief washed over Darius. He'd done it. Well, Darius, Elon said, standing up, it looks like you've earned yourself a job and not just as a junior engineer. Darius looked confused. Sir, we're creating a new position. Thermal Systems Specialist. The starting salary is 30% higher than what I originally offered, plus the AME standard benefits package, including the housing allowance. Darius couldn't believe what he was hearing. Not only had he secured a job at Tesla, but it was a position with real responsibility and a salary that would completely change his circumstances. When can you start? Elon asked. I can give notice to the driving service today, Darius replied, still stunned. And the food delivery app? 2 weeks. 1 week is fine, Elon said. I've already spoken to your supervisor at the driving service. They know this might be coming. Dr. Chen handed Darius a folder. Here's your official offer letter, information about benefits and resources for finding housing. Our HR team can help with that too, if you need it. Darius took the folder, his hands steadier now. Thank you both for this opportunity. I promise I won't let you down. I know you won't, Elon said. Now, since you're still my driver for the rest of the week, we should head to my next meeting. As they walked to the car, Darius felt like he was floating. 1 week ago, he had been sleeping in his car with no clear path forward. Now, he had a future again. One more thing, Elon said as they reached the car. Check your email when you get a chance. There's something there you might find interesting. Later that day, between driving assignments, Darius checked his email on his phone. There was a message from Tesla's HR department with apartment listings near the company, all within his new budget. But there was also another email that caught his attention, from the anonymous engineering enthusiast who had been sending him research papers. The subject line read, "Congratulations on your new position." Curious, Darius opened it. The message was brief. I knew you could do it. Your mother would be proud. M. Darius stared at the screen, suddenly understanding. Elon had been the one sending him those papers all along. He'd been testing Darius, watching his responses, gauging his knowledge and interest before making the job offer. That first day, Elon had paid for the deposit and first month's rent on a small apartment near Tesla headquarters. It wasn't fancy, but it was clean, safe, and most importantly, his. After living in his car for 8 months, having a real bed, a shower, and a kitchen felt like unimaginable luxury. His first paycheck arrived the following Friday, more money than he'd ever seen at once. After carefully budgeting for essentials, Darius set aside a portion to start paying down his mother's medical debt. It would take time, but for the first time, he could see a path to being debt-free. The transition from driver to engineer wasn't always smooth. Some days, Darius felt overwhelmed by how much he needed to learn. Other engineers who had completed their degrees at prestigious universities occasionally made comments about his unusual path to Tesla, but Dr. Chen was a supportive mentor, and Darius's work spoke for itself. His cooling system design moved into the T-in phase with promising early results. Each small success built his confidence. 1 month after starting his new position, Darius was working late when Elon stopped by his desk. How's it going? Elon asked. Good, Darius replied. We're making progress on the expansion issue Dr. Chen mentioned. Elon nodded. I heard the team seems impressed with your work. Thank you for giving me this chance, Mr. Musk. It's changed my life. You earned it, Elon replied simply. And please call me Elon. Now we're colleagues. As Elon turned to leave, he paused. By the way, there's a new project starting next week, something that might interest you. It's about making electric vehicles more affordable for lower-income communities. Darius looked up, intrigued. That sounds important. I think so too, Elon said. I've put you on the team. I believe your perspective will be valuable. As Elon walked away, Darius felt a surge of purpose. This wasn't just about engineering anymore. This was about using his skills to help people like him, people who struggled but deserved a chance. His phone buzzed with a notification. It was an app reminder about his mother's medical debt payment. He had set up a monthly automatic payment, slowly chipping away at the amount. The balance was still high, but for the first time, it felt manageable. One step at a time. Darius whispered, Mom, we're getting there. Life had finally begun to feel normal for Darius. After 3 months at Tesla, he had settled into a routine. His tiny apartment wasn't much, but it was home. Each morning, he would wake up in a real bed, make coffee in his own kitchen, and walk to work instead of driving someone else. The simple pleasures he once took for granted now felt like luxuries. His work on the cooling system had gained attention throughout the company. Other engineers would stop by his desk to discuss ideas, no longer seeing him as the former driver who got lucky, but as a talented colleague with valuable insights. One Tuesday morning, Darius arrived at work to find an envelope in his mailbox. The return address made his stomach drop. Valley Medical Center, the hospital where his mother had received her cancer treatments. He tucked into his pocket, deciding to open it later when he was alone. Throughout the morning meeting, the envelope seemed to burn through his pocket. As soon as the meeting ended, Darius hurried to a quiet corner of the break room and tore it open. Inside was a letter stating that an audit had discovered additional treatment that hadn't been properly billed. The amount owed was $43,500, nearly 3 times what Darius had thought remained of his mother's medical debt. The letter explained that they had tried to contact him at his old address. Since they'd received no response, they were now threatening to send the debt to collections, which would devastate the good credit score he had worked so hard to maintain. Darius sank into a chair, his hands shaking. Just when he thought he was getting ahead, the past had reached out to pull him back down. "Bad news?" asked Dr. Chen, who had entered the break room. Darius quickly folded the letter. "Just some personal stuff. Nothing to worry about." But for the rest of the day, Darius couldn't focus. The debt loomed over him like a storm cloud. Even with his new salary, paying off $43,500 would take years. And if it went to collections, it could affect his ability to keep his apartment. That night, Darius sat at his small kitchen table with a calculator and his bank statements. He had been saving carefully, but his total savings was just $3,800. After running the numbers multiple ways, he reached the same conclusion. There was no way to pay this debt without major sacrifices. He thought about selling his car, but it was old and wouldn't bring much. He considered taking a second job again, but that would leave little time for sleep or his work at Tesla, which demanded his full attention and creativity. For a moment, Darius even thought about asking Elon for help, but his pride quickly dismissed that idea. Elon had already given him an opportunity. Darius couldn't ask for more. After a nearly sleepless night, Darius called the hospital billing department and arranged a payment plan. The monthly amount would take almost half his income after rent and basic living expenses. It would mean no savings, no extras, and constant financial stress. But it was the only solution he could see. The next few weeks were difficult. Darius cut every expense he could. He walked to work instead of driving, ate the cheapest foods, and canceled his gym membership using the company facilities instead. He even considered giving up his apartment and going back to living in his car, but he couldn't bear the thought of losing the stability he had worked so hard to achieve. Despite his best efforts to hide his troubles, his coworkers began to notice changes. Darius looked tired again. He stopped joining them for lunch, bringing simple sandwiches instead. When invited out after work, he always had an excuse. "Everything okay?" Dr. Chen asked one day after Darius had turned down another lunch invitation. "Just busy," he replied with a forced smile. But the stress was affecting his work. Darius's usual sharp focus was slipping. During an important presentation, he forgot key details of his own design. Later that week, he missed a deadline for the affordable vehicle project. Elon noticed. He watched from a distance as the promising engineer he had discovered began to struggle, but instead of confronting Darius directly, Elon took a different approach. "Darius," Elon said, stopping by his desk one evening, "I need someone to lead a special segment of the Affordable Vehicle Initiative. It would involve analyzing how lower-income communities use transportation and creating solutions specifically for their needs." Darius looked up from his computer. "That sounds interesting." "I think you're the right person for it," Elon continued. "Your technical skills are excellent, but more importantly, you bring a perspective most of our engineers don't have. You understand what it's like to struggle financially while trying to remain part of the workforce." Darius was silent, unsure how to respond. "The position comes with a project lead bonus," Elon added casually, "about a 15% increase in your current compensation." Darius's heart jumped. That extra money would make a huge difference in paying down the medical debt. "I'd be honored to lead that project," Darius said. "Thank you for the opportunity." Elon nodded. "The team meets tomorrow at 10 a.m. I'll have all the details sent to you before then." As Elon walked away, Darius felt a mix of relief and renewed determination. The medical debt was still enormous, but perhaps this new role would help him manage it without sacrificing everything else. What Darius didn't know was that Elon had seen the hospital letter one day when it had fallen from Darius's pocket in the break room. Elon had put it back before Darius noticed, but he understood now why his promising engineer was suddenly struggling. The project wasn't charity. Darius really was the perfect person to lead it, but the timing of the offer was no coincidence. That night, for the first time in weeks, Darius slept soundly. The medical debt was still there, but he had a path forward, a way to honor his mother's memory while building his future. What he didn't realize was that this project would be more than just a financial lifeline. It would become the foundation for something much bigger than he could imagine. The Affordable Vehicle Initiative team consisted of 6 engineers, 2 designers, and a marketing specialist. When Darius walked into his first meeting as project lead, he felt out of place. Everyone else had years of experience and advanced degrees. "I'm Darius Wells," he began, his voice steadier than he felt. "Elon has asked me to lead this segment of the project. I know some of you are wondering why I was chosen." A few team members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. "The truth is," Darius continued, "I bring a different perspective. Until recently, I was part of the very market we're trying to reach. I know what it's like to need reliable transportation while working multiple jobs to make ends meet." The room was silent. Then Lisa, one of the designers, spoke up. "I think that's exactly the perspective we need. We've been designing for people we don't fully understand." Slowly, the team warmed to Darius as he shared his experiences and ideas. They began to see the value of his unique viewpoint. By the end of the meeting, they had a new direction, focused on 3 key areas: affordability, reliability, and practicality. Over the next few weeks, Darius threw himself into the project. The extra pay helped ease his financial stress, allowing him to focus better. Each morning, he thought about people like himself, working hard but struggling to get ahead. What kind of vehicle would truly help them, he wondered. "Our target isn't just lower-income individuals," Darius explained during one meeting. "It's people who are working to improve their circumstances. They need a vehicle that won't drain their resources or leave them stranded when they can least afford it." Under Darius's leadership, the team began developing a vehicle with features specifically designed for financial practicality: extended battery warranty, easily replaceable parts, minimal maintenance requirements, and a modular design that could be upgraded over time as the owner's finances improved. "Most affordable cars become money pits after a few years," Darius pointed out. "Our goal is to create a vehicle that actually helps people save money and build stability." The team's progress caught attention throughout Tesla. When they presented their initial concepts at a company-wide meeting, Elon watched with obvious approval as Darius confidently led the presentation. "This is exactly the kind of innovation we need," he commented afterward. "You're not just making a cheaper car, you're rethinking what transportation means for people who are financially constrained." Darius's success with the project gradually eased his own financial burden. With the project lead bonus and occasional overtime, he was making significant progress on the medical debt. It would still take years to pay off completely, but the situation no longer felt hopeless. More importantly, Darius had found purpose in his work. He wasn't just designing technology, he was creating solutions for people like himself, people who needed a hand up, not a handout. One evening, as Darius was working late, Dr. Chen stopped by his desk. "The cooling system you designed passed all the final tests," she said. "It's being implemented in the next production cycle." Darius looked up, surprised. "Really? That's great news." "There's more," she continued. "The patent application has been approved. Since you're the primary inventor, you'll receive the standard patent bonus when it's officially issued." "Patent bonus?" Darius hadn't considered this possibility. Dr. Chen smiled. "Yes. For a major innovation like this, it's substantial. Around $330,000, I believe." Darius's heart skipped a beat. That amount would cover most of his remaining medical debt. After months of financial stress, the end was suddenly in sight. "Thank you for telling me," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. After Dr. Chen left, Darius sat back in his chair, overwhelmed with emotion. His mother had always believed in his potential as an engineer. Now his work wasn't just honoring her memory. It was literally helping to pay for her care, even after she was gone. The next morning, Darius arrived at work to find an unexpected visitor waiting for him. Ruby, the waitress from the 24-hour diner where he used to work on his designs. "Ruby, what are you doing here?" he asked, surprised. She smiled. "I saw your name in the paper. Former homeless man patents breakthrough battery technology at Tesla. I knew it had to be you." Darius hadn't seen the article. "They mentioned I was homeless just briefly. It was mostly about your invention. I kept that coffee cup warm for hours watching you work on those designs. Glad to see it paid off." After chatting with Ruby for a few minutes, Darius walked her to the lobby. As they said goodbye, she handed him a small paper bag. "Coffee's still on the house," she said with a wink. Inside the bag was a fresh cup of coffee and a newspaper clipping of the article. Darius read it at his desk, feeling a strange mix of embarrassment and pride. The article mentioned his unconventional journey from homelessness to Tesla engineer, but focused primarily on his technical achievement. Later that day, during the Affordable Vehicle Team meeting, Darius noticed his teammates treating him differently, with increased respect, but also curiosity. The article had revealed a part of his past he'd kept private. "I guess you all saw the article," Darius said, finally addressing the elephant in the room. After a moment of awkward silence, Marco, one of the engineers, spoke up. "My dad was homeless for a while when I was a kid. He worked construction during the day and slept in his truck at night, never told anyone at his job." The admission broke the tension. Others began sharing stories about their own struggles or those of family members. What had started as an uncomfortable moment became a powerful bonding experience. "This is why our project matters," Darius said, "because these situations are more common than people realize." That evening, Elon called Darius to his office. "I saw the article," Elon said. "I hope you're not upset about it." "I was surprised," Darius admitted, "but it's actually sparked some important conversations on the team." Elon nodded. "Sometimes our struggles become our greatest strengths. Your experience has given this project an authenticity it wouldn't otherwise have." Darius realized Elon was right. His past wasn't something to hide. It was valuable perspective that informed his work. "The Affordable Vehicle Project is making remarkable progress," Elon continued. "But I've been thinking about something bigger." "Bigger?" Darius asked. "A foundation," Elon explained. "Not just to create affordable vehicles, but to identify and employ talented people who are struggling financially, people with potential who just need an opportunity like you did." Darius felt a surge of excitement. That could change so many lives. "Exactly," Elon said. "And I'd like you to help design it. Your story could be the blueprint for others." As Darius walked home that evening, his mind was racing with possibilities. From sleeping in his car to designing a program that could help countless others, the journey seemed unbelievable. He stopped at the hospital on his way home and made a payment toward his mother's medical debt, larger than usual thanks to his recent bonus. The clerk smiled as she processed the payment. "You're making good progress, Mr. Wells. Keep it up." "I will," Darius replied, "one step at a time." 6 months had passed since Darius first joined Tesla. The Affordable Vehicle Project had moved from concept to prototype, and Darius's team was preparing for a major presentation to the board of directors. This would be the biggest moment of his career so far. The night before the presentation, Darius stayed late at the office, reviewing every slide and rehearsing his talking points. The prototype they had developed was unlike anything Tesla had created before. A practical, low-maintenance electric vehicle designed specifically for people with limited resources. "Still here?" Elon's voice startled him. Darius looked up from his computer, "Just making sure everything's perfect for tomorrow." Elon sat down across from him. "You know, when I first saw you sleeping in your car that night, I had no idea things would lead here." "Me neither," Darius admitted. "I was just trying to survive until I could save enough for an apartment." "Yet you were still reading engineering journals and keeping your skills sharp," Darius nodded. I couldn't let go of that part of myself, even when it seemed impossible to get back to it. That's what impressed me most, Elon said. Not just your intelligence, but your determination to hold on to your dreams despite everything. They talked for a while longer. Elon shared stories of his own early struggles and moments when he'd almost given up. For the first time, Darius felt like they were talking not as boss and employee, but as two people who understood the same truths about perseverance. The next morning, the boardroom was filled with Tesla executives and investors. Darius felt a flutter of nervousness as he was introduced, but when he began speaking about the Affordable Vehicle Initiative, his confidence grew. Our goal wasn't just to create a cheaper Tesla, Darius explained, showing images of the prototype. It was to rethink transportation for people who are working to improve their financial stability. He outlined the vehicle's features, the modular design that allowed owners to upgrade components as their finances improved, the simplified maintenance that could be done without specialized tools, and the extended battery warranty that provided peace of mind. This isn't just a car, Darius concluded. It's a pathway to greater stability and opportunity. When people don't have to worry about their transportation failing them, they can focus on building better lives. The presentation was met with enthusiastic applause. Board members asked thoughtful questions, which Darius answered with confidence and clarity. One investor was so impressed that he immediately pledged additional funding for the project. As people filed out afterward, Elon remained seated, watching the reactions. When the room had emptied, except for the two of them, he turned to Darius. "That was excellent," he said, "but I have a confession to make." "A confession?" Darius asked, puzzled. "This project wasn't just about creating an affordable vehicle," Elon explained. "It was a test case for something much bigger." Elon pulled out his tablet and showed Darius a presentation titled The Second Chance Initiative. It outlined a program to identify talented individuals from disadvantaged backgrounds, people experiencing homelessness, those with limited education opportunities, former inmates trying to rebuild their lives, and provide them with training and employment at Tesla. "We're already doing this?" Darius asked, surprised. "We started a pilot program 3 months ago," Elon confirmed. "Inspired by your success, we've been quietly recruiting people with potential but limited opportunities. 5 so far. I had no idea. We wanted to test the concept before making it public," Elon explained, "and all 5 are doing remarkably well. Not quite as remarkable as you, but they're proving the model works." Darius scrolled through the presentation, reading about individuals who had been given opportunities similar to his own. A former hotel cleaner with a gift for programming, a military veteran who had been living in a shelter, a single mother who had taught herself engineering between shifts at a warehouse. "This is incredible," Darius said softly. "But why keep it secret from me?" "Because I want you to lead it," Elon replied. "Not as a participant, but as the director. Your experience makes you uniquely qualified to guide this program, but I needed to be sure you could succeed in a leadership role first, and the Affordable Vehicle Project was my test." Elon nodded, "Which you passed with flying colors. The question is, are you interested in taking this on? It would mean splitting your time between engineering and program development." Darius didn't need to think about it. "Absolutely. This is exactly what I would want to be part of." "Good," Elon said with a smile, "because there's one more thing I need to tell you about the program." "What's that?" "Its official name," Elon said. "We're calling it the Wells Foundation." Darius stared at him, speechless. "Your story will be part of it," Elon continued. "Anonymized if you prefer, but it's powerful inspiration for others. You've proven that talent can be found anywhere, and that sometimes extraordinary people just need one chance to show what they're capable of." Tears welled in Darius's eyes. He thought of his mother, who had worked so hard to give him opportunities. He thought of the nights spent sleeping in his car, wondering if he would ever use his engineering skills again. And he thought of all the others out there, talented, determined people who just needed someone to notice their potential. "I don't know what to say," Darius managed finally. "You don't need to say anything," Elon replied. "Just help me build this into something that changes lives." As they left the boardroom, Dr. Chen was waiting outside. "Congratulations on the presentation," she said to Darius. "I hear you're taking on a new role." "News travels fast," Darius said with a smile. "I've been part of the planning team," she admitted. "I'll be working with you on the foundation. We've already identified 10 more candidates for the next cohort." Over the next few weeks, Darius divided his time between the Affordable Vehicle Project and developing the Wells Foundation. He met with the 5 participants in the pilot program, sharing parts of his own story to encourage them. Their determination reminded him of his own journey, and their success validated the program's approach. One evening, as Darius was leaving work, he found Elon in the parking lot, examining a new prototype vehicle. "What do you think?" Elon asked, gesturing to the car. "It's a beautiful design," Darius replied. "One of the new sports models," Elon said. "Actually, it's yours." He held out a key, a small token of appreciation for everything you've accomplished. Darius was stunned. "I can't accept this. It's too much." "Consider it a company car for the foundation director," Elon suggested. "You'll need reliable transportation for visiting potential work sites and meeting with partners." As Darius took the key, Elon added casually, "By the way, I heard from the hospital yesterday. Your mother's medical debt has been paid in full." Darius froze. "What? How?" "Anonymous donor," Elon said with a shrug. "Sometimes good things happen to good people." Before Darius could respond, Elon's phone rang. "I need to take this. We'll talk tomorrow about the foundation launch event." As Elon walked away, Darius stood by the new car, key in hand, trying to process what he had just heard. The medical debt that had haunted him for years. Gone. And though Elon hadn't admitted it, Darius knew exactly who the anonymous donor was. He looked up at the Tesla building, thinking about how much had changed in 6 months. From sleeping in his car to leading a foundation that would help others like him, it seemed impossible. But then the impossible was just what hadn't been done yet. The launch of the Wells Foundation was scheduled for a Tuesday morning in early spring. The Tesla campus was decorated with simple banners announcing second chances begin today. News crews gathered outside, alerted by a press release that had generated significant interest. Darius stood in his office, adjusting his tie. He had bought a new suit for the occasion, nothing flashy, but professional and well-fitting. Through the window, he could see people arriving for the ceremony, ready for the big day. Dr. Chen asked, appearing in his doorway, "As ready as I'll ever be," Darius replied. "I never imagined I'd be doing something like this." "Who better than someone who's lived it?" she said. "That's what makes this program different from typical corporate charity initiatives. It's built on genuine understanding." Together, they walked to the main courtyard where a small stage had been set up. The 15 participants of the expanded pilot program, now including 10 new recruits alongside the original 5, stood to one side, looking both nervous and excited in their new Tesla uniforms. Elon was already there, talking with reporters. When he saw Darius, he walked over. "The man of the hour," Elon said. "How are you feeling?" "Grateful," Darius answered honestly, "and a little overwhelmed." "That's appropriate," Elon said with a smile. "What we're doing here is meant to be overwhelming in the best possible way." At precisely 10 a.m., the ceremony began. Elon took the stage first, welcoming everyone and explaining the foundation's purpose. The Wells Foundation represents Tesla's commitment to finding untapped talent in unexpected places, he explained. "We believe that brilliance exists everywhere, not just in elite universities or traditional career paths, but in shelters, service jobs, and yes, sometimes even sleeping in cars." A murmur went through the crowd. Most knew pieces of Darius's story by now, though the full details had been kept private. "This program isn't charity," Elon continued. "It's smart business. By identifying people with extraordinary potential who have faced extraordinary challenges, we gain employees with not just talent, but resilience, determination, and perspective. Those can't be taught in any classroom." Elon then introduced Darius, who took the stage to enthusiastic applause. Looking out at the crowd, reporters, Tesla employees, foundation participants, and even Ruby from the diner, Darius felt a moment of unreality. 6 months ago, he had been driving Elon around, hiding his homelessness, just trying to survive. "Thank you all for being here today," Darius began. The Wells Foundation has a simple mission: to identify talented individuals facing difficult circumstances and provide them with training, employment, and support to rebuild their lives, he explained. He went on to describe how the program worked. Participants received technical training, mentorship, and temporary housing assistance while joining Tesla in entry-level positions designed to utilize and develop their skills. But this isn't just about employing people, Darius emphasized. It's about creating a model that other companies can follow. Talent shouldn't be wasted because of circumstance, and no one should have to choose between using their mind and meeting their basic needs. After his speech, Darius introduced the 15 current participants, who each stood as their names were called. Their stories varied. A former teacher who had lost everything in a natural disaster, a talented mechanic who had been incarcerated for a nonviolent offense, a young mother who had fled domestic violence, but all shared the common thread of potential interrupted by circumstance. Following the ceremony, as reporters interviewed participants, Elon pulled Darius aside. "There's someone I'd like you to meet," he said, leading Darius to a woman in a business suit waiting near the building entrance. "Darius, this is Monica Williams from Horizon Housing. They specialize in affordable housing solutions." "Nice to meet you," Darius said, shaking her hand. "Monica's organization has an interesting proposal," Elon explained. "They want to partner with the Wells Foundation to create specialized housing for program participants." "We've been following your work," Monica said, "and we think there's a natural synergy. Our specialty is creating sustainable, affordable housing. Your foundation provides opportunities for people who need stable housing to succeed." "I'm definitely interested in hearing more," Darius replied. "Good," Elon said, "because I've scheduled a meeting for tomorrow to discuss combining the Affordable Vehicle Project with Horizon's housing initiatives and the foundation's employment program." Darius raised his eyebrows. "You're thinking of an integrated approach?" "Exactly," Elon confirmed. "Transportation, housing, and employment. Addressing all three together creates a more sustainable path out of poverty than tackling any one alone." The meeting the next day exceeded Darius's expectations. Horizon Housing had developed innovative small home communities powered by renewable energy. Combined with Tesla's affordable vehicles and the foundation's employment opportunities, they could create a comprehensive support system for people rebuilding their lives. Over the following months, the three-way partnership took shape. A pilot community was planned on land Tesla owned near the factory, featuring 30 small, energy-efficient homes. Residents would be foundation participants, paying reduced rent while working at Tesla and saving for their futures. "It's like a modern company town," Dr. Chen observed during a planning meeting. "But without the exploitation that historically came with those. It's about creating a bridge," Darius explained. Not a permanent solution or a handout, but a stable transition to full independence. As the foundation grew, Darius's story began to spread. Though he remained private about many details, he allowed the broad outlines to be shared. How he'd gone from sleeping in his car to leading a groundbreaking program at Tesla. Other companies took notice. 6 months after the foundation's launch, executives from 3 major tech firms reached out, wanting to create similar programs. Darius found himself advising other companies on identifying and supporting talented individuals facing housing insecurity or other challenges. One evening, as Darius was working late in his office, Elon stopped by. "I just got off a call with the governor," Elon said. "They're interested in creating a statewide version of our program." Darius looked up, surprised. That would be incredible. "It's happening because of you," Elon said, sitting down across from him. "Your vision has taken this far beyond what I originally imagined." "It's been a team effort," Darius replied modestly. "True," Elon said, "but every team needs a leader who truly understands the mission." He paused. "You know, when I first discovered you were homeless, I just wanted to help one person. I had no idea we'd end up creating something that could change thousands of lives." Darius nodded thoughtfully. "It's strange how things work out. The worst time in my life has become the foundation for helping so many others." As Elon left, Darius turned to look at the photo on his desk, his mother smiling from her hospital bed, her hand clasping his. She had always believed education and opportunity could change lives. Now, through the foundation bearing their family name, her belief was helping others find their way forward. The next day would bring a new milestone, the groundbreaking ceremony for the housing community. But tonight, Darius took a moment to appreciate how far he had come, from a car seat to a corner office, from hiding his situation to helping others overcome theirs. The journey had been improbable, but as he was learning, improbable didn't mean impossible. 1 year to the day after Elon had discovered Darius sleeping in his car, the Wells Foundation held its first annual gala. The event, hosted at Tesla headquarters, brought together foundation participants, corporate sponsors, and community partners to celebrate their achievements and raise funds for expansion. The main hall had been transformed with elegant decorations that somehow maintained the practical, forward-thinking spirit of the foundation. Displays around the room showcased the affordable vehicle prototype, plans for the housing community now under construction, and most importantly, stories of the participants whose lives had been changed. Darius stood near the entrance, greeting guests as they arrived. He wore a tailored suit, a far cry from the worn button-up shirt he'd worn as a driver, but he carried himself with the same humble dignity he'd maintained throughout his journey. "There he is," called a familiar voice. Ruby from the diner approached, looking elegant in a simple blue dress. Darius had specially invited her, remembering her small kindness when she'd given him free coffee during those late nights of work. "I'm so glad you could come," Darius said, embracing her. "Wouldn't miss it for the world," Ruby replied. "Though I still can't believe that exhausted guy working in my diner is now running all this." "Some days I can't believe it either," Darius admitted. As the evening progressed, guests mingled and explored the displays. The foundation had already helped 37 people secure employment and housing, with plans to expand to 3 additional cities in the coming year. What had begun as Elon's quiet act of kindness toward one person had grown into a movement. At 8, Elon stepped onto the small stage at the front of the room. The crowd quieted immediately. "Welcome, everyone, to the first annual Wells Foundation Gala," he began. 1 year ago, this foundation didn't exist. Neither did the Affordable Vehicle Initiative or our housing partnership. But something else did exist, untapped potential in unexpected places. Elon went on to summarize the foundation's achievements and thank the many partners who had helped bring it to life. As he spoke, Darius stood to the side, listening with pride but also humility. None of this would have happened without Elon's initial decision to help him. "Before we continue with the evening," Elon said, "many of you have asked me what inspired the creation of this foundation. It's a story I haven't fully shared until now." Darius looked up, surprised. They hadn't discussed revealing more details about his story tonight. "One night, about a year ago," Elon continued, "I discovered that my regular driver was homeless. He had been driving me for 8 months, always professional, always on time, while sleeping in his car each night." A murmur went through the crowd. Many knew pieces of Darius's story, but few knew he had been Elon's driver. "I could have simply helped this one person with money," Elon said, "but I recognized something in him that money alone couldn't address. Extraordinary potential that circumstances had interrupted but not extinguished." Elon glanced at Darius, silently asking permission to continue. Darius gave a small nod. "What many of you don't know," Elon said, turning back to the audience, "is that this driver, Darius Wells, had been developing innovative engineering solutions while homeless. When given the opportunity, he created the cooling system technology that's now being implemented in our newest vehicles, saving millions in production costs." The room fell silent. All eyes moved between Elon and Darius. "The foundation bears his name because his journey exemplifies its mission," Elon continued. "Talent exists everywhere. Opportunity does not. Our job is to bridge that gap." Elon gestured for Darius to join him on stage. As Darius walked up, the crowd began to applaud. The sound grew until it filled the room. Not polite, restrained applause, but genuine appreciation. "Darius has been the driving force behind the foundation's success," Elon said when the applause finally subsided. "His insights, born from personal experience, have shaped every aspect of our program." Darius stepped to the microphone, momentarily overwhelmed by emotion. "Thank you all," he said when he could trust his voice. This foundation represents something I deeply believe, that no one should be defined by their worst circumstances, but rather by what they can achieve when given the chance to show their true capabilities. As he spoke about the foundation's future plans, Darius noticed a small commotion at the back of the room. A woman was being escorted in, someone he recognized immediately. It was Jessica, the hospital billing clerk who had helped him make payments on his mother's medical debt. Why is she here? After Darius finished speaking, Jessica approached the stage with an envelope. "Mr. Wells," she said, handing it to him. "The hospital board asked me to deliver this personally." Puzzled, Darius opened the envelope. Inside was a letter stating that a new wing of the hospital would be named the Rita Wells Memorial Care Center in honor of his mother. The center would provide financial counseling and support for families facing medical crises, helping them navigate the complex healthcare system without falling into devastating debt. "This is incredible," Darius said, his voice thick with emotion. "Thank you." As Jessica left, Darius turned to Elon with questioning eyes. "Did you arrange this?" "The naming was the hospital's idea," Elon replied, "but I may have made a substantial donation with the suggestion that it focus on financial support services." Before Darius could respond, Elon addressed the crowd again. "There's one final thing I'd like to share tonight," he said. "Something that even Darius doesn't know." The room grew quiet once more. "When I tell the story of finding my driver homeless, people often focus on my decision to help him," Elon said. "But the truth is, Darius Wells changed my life as much as I may have changed his." Elon turned to Darius. "Your resilience, your dignity in the face of incredible hardship, your determination to hold on to your dreams, these things reminded me of what's truly important. The foundation wasn't just me helping you. It was a partnership from the beginning." He placed a hand on Darius's shoulder. "The secret I've never told you or anyone," Elon said, "is that I've been paying off your mother's medical debt all along, not as charity, but as an investment in allowing a brilliant mind to focus on changing the world rather than just surviving it." A hush fell over the room. Darius stood motionless, finally understanding the truth. The anonymous donor had indeed been Elon, but the motivation hadn't been pity. It had been belief in his potential. In that moment, surrounded by the evidence of how far he had come and how many lives had been touched, Darius realized the greatest gift hadn't been the job or the opportunities. It had been being seen, truly seen, for who he was, not just what he was going through. And now, through the foundation, he was doing the same for others. Where are you tuning in from today? Drop your location in the comments below. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button to help spread kindness and inspiration to others who might need it. And if you enjoyed this tale of second chances and compassion, click on the video appearing on your screen right now for another uplifting story that will brighten your day. Remember, sometimes the smallest acts of kindness can change someone's entire world. See you in the next video.